The hair's covering one of my eyes, but who cares? Hi. Hello. I'm reviewing. I was very excited for this one. The first story of the 10th Doctor Adventures. I was really excited because obviously I've started getting into Big Finish. The 10th Doctor Adventures are the ones that I've been waiting for, and I was literally crossing my fingers like, please, 1 month, I want to get a 10th Doctor Adventures story. And I'm glad I got the first one, because it was the one I was most interested in, because I feel like they would pick a strong story for the first, like, return of David Tennant and Catherine Tate to the role. Technophobia. I really liked it. It was really good. It was actually less than an hour. It was about, I want to say 56 minutes. I got into it thinking it'd be 2 hours, but I forgot. They tend to be, the releases where it's a box set, if it's 3 or 4, whatever, they tend to be an hour each. First of all, David Tennant, Catherine Tate, you literally can't even tell they've left the role. Oh, pardon me. Technophobia is honestly it's surprisingly well paced for 60 minutes. It was about 15 minutes from the end, and I was thinking, how are we going to wrap this up? And they do it pretty well, because it's not the most complicated of stories. It it's very much if it was in series 4, it would have been one of the filler episodes, which is my only concern about the 10th Doctor Adventures. Is from what I've seen of the three volumes, they all seem to be in the vein of, these are just kind of what would be considered filler episodes for the main TV series, because I think they're a lot more hemmed in to what they can do with the characters. Let me just itch my back. I think it's a very intriguing setup. It's similar to English Way of Death, which you can check out my review if you want to. It's, up there. It's got a really good first half. I was really interested. I thought the fact that it turns out there was nothing wrong with the machine. It was just the people. That painting robot that went crazy. It was just because Brian was getting too close to it and fiddling with it, but because he was so scared of the machines, he was like, no, it started it wasn't me. The only thing I've actually just realized that is kind of I don't understand what it is so we find out it's the infrasound. That's how they're controlling everyone, but it's through these it sounds like a train. So, unless I was misunderstanding it, what was the point of them constantly talking to random people going, we are the cognoscenti, you know nothing? Unless that was the infrasound they were talking about. Possibly? I don't know. The story isn't completely clear, because the last 15 minutes are a little bit rushed. The sort of resolution. I think that is another possible issue with these, is I think none of them are 2 hours. I think they're all an hour. This could have probably been a much better 2 hour story, because you could have built things up. I think the cognoscenti could have got a bit more development earlier on, because a lot of things get introduced just before they're used, like the fact that it's their ship is interdimensional. This story is actually quite reminiscent of Flatline. I don't know, that's just something I thought. You made me think of Flatline. That was the end of that point. Matt Fitton did a good job, I think, capturing the Doctor and Donna. I think they are the highlights of this story. And that tends to be the case with Big Finish. It tends to be the main cast. Both the sort of new characters they introduced, like Bex and Kevin, or just obviously the returning main cast from the show. Those tend to be the strongest features of Big Finish stories. And I feel like I've said quite a few problems I've had with the story, but I'm now going to get into everything that's good about it. First of all, I think the sound design is really good. I really love the sound design. I think especially in the first half, when you have to hear all the different machines going, and when you hear sort of distant screaming. I think the only part that I thought was a bit weird was when Donna's bashing down the shutters to get into the underground. That was the only bit where it didn't seem to be making the proper sounds. It was better than the Victorian age, though. Again, you can check my review for the Victorian age. The Cognoscenti are a really cool villain. I like how they look. I like how they're kind of similar to the Silence, in that their basic form is like what you'd expect of an alien. They've got big head, they're really tall and thin, they've got long fingers, they're kind of like sort of a dark grey colour. They have the red eyes. Their voices, I really like their voices. I think they've got a lot of personality. I like how they think that making all the humans stupid is a kindness. Sort of the idea of the humans are sort of so primitive to the cognoscenti, like we're troubled with, you know, higher brain functions. I like how frustrated they got at the Doctor. I don't know, I feel like the cognoscenti are kind of a race I don't think they've ever appeared in Big Finish again. I mean, it's not like they could never return. But I would be up for it. I think if I was, because they released a load of things Big Finish, I think if they were like, oh, on like the cover, it was like, oh, and the cognoscenti are coming back, I'd be like, because you can do a lot with them. They're from another dimension, which isn't talked about very much, but I think that's automatically, I want to know more about them. They're not very nice creatures, like they're trying to make everyone stupid so they can invade us, but they're not like, they don't want to kill all of us. I mean, they killed Brian for no good reason, but yeah, basically the main weakness of the story is up until the cognoscenti appear, all of their previous glimpses we get to see of them before Bex gets taken as a test subject, none of them really make sense. I predicted when the 10th Doctor couldn't use the sonic screwdriver, I was like, it's because it's affecting him. I liked how they did explain why the 10th Doctor suddenly became really affected by it, and my Donna was like basically fine, which with the idea that the people who are the smartest, they degrade quicker. Sorry, there's like a fold in my bag, like a crease, and it's really bothering me. Kevin, I was waiting for the explanation of why he didn't turn, and I think the explanation that it's like bubble shock contains Bane. You know, it doesn't affect everyone. There are people who are just immune to it. I really liked Bex. Bex was a really fun character. I like how she was very much sort of a parallel to Donna. Also, the fact that this story was taking 2 years. The fact that this story was taking place 2 years after Donna's time, which because of series 1 and the events with Slovene would have been 2009. So this is set in 2011, I think. And there was a mention of her grandfather and her mum. There was a Henrik's reference. I love a good Henrik's reference. And it makes particular sense because Henrik's was a thing from the RTD era. So to have a reference to that, I was like, love it. The story breezed by also. I felt like we'd spent no time at all. And I was like, wait, we have like 50 minutes left. I have a hair pointing that way. All my other hairs are pointing this way. This is the bad place. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I really enjoyed it. And even though, again, on reflection, I can instantly find a bazillion plot holes. I hate that about myself, but I can find them instantly. They don't bother me. In the English Way of Death, they bothered me, especially as in a 2-hour runtime. They failed to explain a lot of them. But I'm going to give more leeway when it's only 56 minutes. And also, they don't ruin the story. It's just kind of like, oh, that was unclear. And their appearances before were a bit unnecessary. But then, like, every story has that. I like Can You Hear Me? But, you know, again, check my review out for Can You Hear Me? Hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you enjoyed the hair being in my eyes. I like, even when it's in my face and I don't care, I still touch it and, like, tuck it back. Because it's just, like, a thing I do. And tomorrow I'm watching all of AJ and the Queen with my mum, because why not? Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you next time. Waka waka hey.